I'm sick as a dog, man. That's the reason why I ain't got videos out in the past week. I will have videos coming, but right now, I'm dying. I probably shouldn't be recording this right now, but here it goes. So, I can't even think straight. So, Google just announced Stadia. What is Stadia? It's a streaming service. Okay, big whoop. Here's the big whoop. And honestly, Xbox and PlayStation should probably be concerned. So what is Stadia? Basically, you want to play games, you can play them anywhere. What do you mean by anywhere? I mean that you can play AAA games. You can play stuff like 2K. You can play stuff like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You can play stuff like Doom. You can play that type of stuff on your tablet, on your phone, on your PC, on your television. Lickety split with no type of barrier of entry. What do I mean by that? It means that you can play these things without having to buy a box. There you go. I'm actually really excited about the idea of this. I know a lot of people are very apprehensive towards it because it's a new thing, and new things, people take a long time to adapt to new things and all that stuff. It's the same idea as the Switch and why the Switch is so popular right now. It's the fact that you can take your game and play it anywhere on the go, and you can also play it at home. And basically what their idea, what their vision is that you can do all these things seamlessly through Google. There's a bunch of other stuff that goes into it. I'm not getting into the hardware specs or whatnot. I'm not getting into all the functions and all that. They explained a lot during the conference. I don't feel like going into all that. I'm sick as hell. I don't feel like I'm too damn tired. I shouldn't even be doing this video. I'm going to leave a link to Digital Foundry for all the specs. I'm going to leave the link to the website so that you can look up all the junk yourself if you want to know what the hell it is. They haven't announced any price points. They haven't announced anything like that. It does have a controller. The controller looks way better than what people saw. The little stupid little picture or whatnot. The controller looks way better than that. Looks way more comfortable. Okay. You don't have to necessarily buy a controller. You can use your own controllers for it. So if you have a PlayStation controller, you can use that shit. If you have an Xbox One controller, you can use that shit. If you have, I'm assuming, any type of Bluetooth-based controller, you can use that shit. That's the whole gist of it. Now, the whole idea of this should probably be scary to Sony and Microsoft. Because here's the thing, if Google can break down those barriers where you don't have to buy a box at all to play these type of video games, and Sony and Microsoft are still hell-bent on using physical ways of buying these things, they might be in trouble, especially if Google makes it much cheaper. This may spell, I'm not going to say it's going to spell doom. I'm not going to be over dramatic, but it may be very alarming for those two companies. I'm just saying, man. Now, the only crutch for this whole thing is that this whole thing is all online based. So you have to be connected to the internet. And that is the crux of it. It's all connected to the internet. So something happens, tragedy happens. Oh, tragedy happens. My electricity went out. Oh shit. You can't play video games till your electricity comes back on. Well, no, because if you still have a phone or a tablet or whatnot, you can still play it. Well, damn. Okay, well, say if it knocks your towers out or whatnot and the internet goes down or whatnot, then you can't play video games, all right? The off shell, like an earthquake happens and then your towers fall down. You can't play video games. You're done. You're through. There's no way to do it, which sucks, but that's the crux of it. Microsoft and Sony can still make physical games that people buy these things on. But here's the thing. And I hear a lot of people talking about how they like to keep their physical games and all this stuff. And they like to keep their physical media. A lot of that stuff still runs on the internet. Honestly, unless you're Nintendo, and honestly, Nintendo's kind of getting away from it too. If you're rocking with Microsoft or Sony, when you buy a game and you put the disc in, what's the first thing that happens? It has to update. That means it requires the internet. That means your physical thing or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of just a formality now. So a lot of these, I like to keep my physical game debates are kind of moot. Unless you're talking about Nintendo, you don't really have a good argument. Sorry. I'm just saying you've been being hoaxed for a long time, dude. Like, every time that you put a physical disc in and you have to update, every time you update, it has to connect to the internet. So whether you think you're keeping that stuff or not, if your internet is gone, you can't play that physical game that you had in the first place unless you already updated it. So this is looking real interesting from Google. It's an interesting move. And we're going to have to see what happens next. What is Sony and Microsoft going to do next? Nintendo is kind of in its own realm. Okay, they kind of operate on their own thing, and they don't. They, even though Nintendo might be in trouble too, they need to. They probably gonna have to come up with something. But Nintendo lives in their own realm, and they'll adapt. I'm not being a Nintendo fanboy. I know how Nintendo works. That's what they like to do. Okay, people still buy their stuff, and they're well behind. Not in their they're not behind. No, they're not behind on their ideas, but they're behind in terms of specs and all this stuff. But people still buy this stuff because the stuff is still good. Okay, they're leaders in game making. Okay, you can't really deny that. So all right, Stadia. I'm ready. I want to see what's going on with it. Yeah, man. Looks interesting. And that's it. I'm going to try to get better. I had a video that I was going to put up way earlier than this, but I'm still fighting off the sickness. I'm fighting death itself off. He's been knocking at my door, and I've been like, "Get out of here, death." I'm like, "Get away from me. Stop it." And he's like, "Come, James, I just want to embrace you." I'm like, "No, man, please stop. Leave me alone right now. I've got to have stuff to do. Come back in about 80 years, okay? You come back in about 80 years, okay? And then we'll talk, okay? We'll talk then. But not right now. Goodbye, everybody.